The
It's been
biting
3
wind of
days, and we
Emmerdale,
still haven't heard
often a
anything
mere
from
whisper
them.
of nature,
Let's wait
howled
another
today
day.
with the fury
I'm
of a
sure they will
banshee,
contact us.
tearing at the ancient stone walls of the Dingle homestead.
Did
But
you
it
hear
wasn't
about what
just the
happened at the old
physical
mill?
edifice that felt the
No, what?
chill.
Is everything okay?
It was the very foundations of faith and family that were beginning to crack under an unimaginable pressure. The screen fades in on a close-up of a shattered teacup, shards glistening like forgotten tears on a worn wooden table.
Did you hear about the
The
promotion?
air is thick
No,
with
tell me more.
unspoken accusations, a palpable tension that could choke a saint. Laurel, her face a canvas of raw worry and sleepless nights, paces the cramped living room, each step a testament to the tremor in her soul. Her eyes, usually pools of gentle understanding, are now wide with a terror she can barely contain. "Carl," she whispers, the name a fragile plea. Poor Carl. The previous day's revelations about Carl and Clemmy's digital misadventure have morphed from a storm in a teacup into a full-blown hurricane, threatening to capsize their entire world. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierces the tense silence from upstairs. Laurel's head snaps up, her heart leaping into her throat. "Carl," she gasps, her voice barely a thread. She bolts toward the stairs, her feet pounding a frantic rhythm against the creaking timber. The camera follows, a dizzying handheld shot that mirrors her panic. The air grows heavier with each step, laden with the stench of fear and something else, a faint metallic tang. As Laurel bursts into Carl's bedroom, the scene that unfolds is a tableau of adolescent despair and a chilling omen. Carl is huddled in a corner, his face pale and contorted, his body racked with violent shivers that have nothing to do with the bug Moira mentioned. He's clutching a crumpled photo, a snapshot of him and Clemmy laughing, innocent in a bygone moment that now feels like a cruel mockery. His eyes, usually bright with youthful mischief, are now dark, vacant pits of horror. But it's not the photo that triggered his scream. On his bedside table, amid scattered comic books and half-eaten sweets, lies a small, ornate, antique silver locket, one that Laurel has never seen before. It's open, revealing not a picture, but a tiny, intricately folded piece of parchment, and emanating from it, a faint, almost imperceptible green mist, shimmering with an unearthly glow, slowly dissipates into the room. Laurel stares at the locket, a cold dread snaking its way up her spine. It radiates an ancient, unsettling energy. She reaches for it, her hand trembling, but Carl lets out another piercing shriek, flinching away from her touch, his body rigid with terror. "Don't!" he chokes out, his voice a ragged whisper. "Don't touch it. It, it showed me things. Horrible things." His words hang in the air, heavy with an unspeakable horror that transcends the simple fear of getting in trouble with the police. This isn't just about a mistake. This is about something far more sinister, something that has invaded the sanctity of their home and twisted the innocent mind of a child. Laurel pulls her hand back, her eyes wide with a dawning comprehension of a supernatural threat she never anticipated. The teacup shards below, once mere debris, now seem to shimmer with a malevolent light. The storm in the teacup has just become a maelstrom of the unknown. Meanwhile, across Emmerdale, the air in Aaron's newly re-inhabited flat is thick with a different kind of tension, a fragile, almost desperate hope, yet underscored by the heavy thrum of an unconfessed secret. Aaron, his eyes still bearing the shadow of past traumas, tries to inject normalcy into the space, moving a framed photo of him and Kane to a prominent spot, a subtle plea for reconciliation that hangs unspoken. Liv's lingering absence is a palpable ghost in the room, her memory a bittersweet ache. Vic, ever the picture of quiet strength, watches him, her heart a tangled knot of love and apprehension. Their reunion, meant to be a fresh start, feels more like navigating a minefield. "It's good to be back," Aaron says, his voice a little too loud, a little too forced, trying to convince himself as much as her. He gestures around the sparsely furnished flat, a space that feels both familiar and unnervingly alien after his time away. "Normal, right? Just like before." Vic offers a small, wavering smile. "As long as normal includes spending a bit of time with me. Her words are light, but her gaze is searching, probing for any fissure in his carefully constructed facade. She wants to believe in their future, but the specter of Kev, her secret prison husband, looms large in the periphery of her vision, a dark, looming thundercloud on the horizon. The sound of a text message vibrates through the silence, pulling Vic from her thoughts. She glances at her phone, her expression momentarily freezing. It's an unknown number, a single word. Soon, her heart lurches. The message isn't just a text, it's a silent countdown, a chilling reminder of the ticking time bomb in her life. She quickly shoves the phone into her pocket, attempting a nonchalant air, but her movements are stiff, her smile strained. Aaron, ever perceptive, notices the subtle shift. "Everything all right?" he asks, his brow furrowing with concern. He knows her too well. Even the slightest tremor in her composure speaks volumes. "Fine," Vic replies, perhaps a little too quickly. "Just work stuff. You know how it is." She tries to deflect, to lighten the mood, but the soon echoes in her mind, a relentless drumbeat of impending doom. She looks at Aaron, his face open and vulnerable, and the weight of her secret presses down on her with an unbearable force. How can she tell him? How can she shatter this fragile peace they're building, knowing that Kev's release could unravel everything? The taking it slow mantra has been utterly obliterated by the urgent, terrifying reality of Kev's impending freedom. The innocent desire for a cozy night in, for a chance to reconnect, is now tainted by the cold, hard truth that another man holds a terrifying claim on her. The camera zooms in on Vic's hand, gripping her phone tightly in her pocket, as if she could crush the secret into oblivion. Meanwhile, at the local pub, the Woolpack, the atmosphere is a stark contrast to the anxieties plaguing Laurel and Vic. Laughter and celebratory cheers erupt as Dylan, beaming with pride, brandishes his new driving license. Patty, beaming like a proud father, claps him on the back. "Get in the Guinness Book of Flippin' Records," he exclaims, genuinely thrilled by Dylan's rapid success. Mandy, arriving a little late, sweeps in like a force of nature, her eyes lighting up at the sight of her son's achievement. "My boy, I knew you had it in you," she crows, pulling him into a bone-crushing hug. But even amidst the joyous celebration, a subtle undercurrent of unease begins to stir. Ray, the enigmatic figure who sponsored Dylan's intensive driving course, watches the scene with a predatory gleam in his eyes. He clinks his glass, a thin smile playing on his lips. "The world has just opened right up for you, young Padawan," he says, his voice a low, honeyed drawl that somehow sends a shiver down Dylan's spine. "Put in some extra graft, and you'll have that debt paid off in no time." The words are seemingly innocent, but the way he emphasizes debt and graft carries an unsettling weight, a subtle threat beneath the surface of his jovial demeanor. As the celebration continues, Mandy pulls Dylan aside, her expression softening. "I'm so proud of you, love," she whispers, her eyes welling up with tears. "You're gonna do great things." She believes in his potential, unaware of the insidious strings Ray is already beginning to pull. Later, as the pub empties and the evening draws to a close, Dylan finds himself alone with Ray. The playful banter has vanished, replaced by an unsettling gravity. Ray places a hand on Dylan's shoulder, his grip firm, almost possessive. "You're a talented lad, Dylan," he says, his voice losing its earlier lightness, becoming a low, gravelly tone. "And talent like yours, it needs to be cultivated, directed. You have a rare gift, a knack for speed, for control. It's wasted on mundane deliveries." Dylan, basking in the glow of his achievement, feels a flicker of unease. "What do you mean?" he asks, his youthful enthusiasm momentarily dampened by Ray's intensity. Ray leans in closer, his breath smelling faintly of whiskey and something else. Something sharp and metallic, like old coins. "I mean, there are other opportunities. Opportunities that pay far more than delivering parcels. Opportunities that require a certain kind of driver." His eyes bore into Dylan's, and for a fleeting moment, Dylan sees not a jovial mentor, but a cold, calculating predator. A chill runs down Dylan's spine. The debt he thought was just financial now feels like a binding contract, a Faustian bargain he unwittingly entered into. The driving license, once a symbol of freedom, now feels like a gilded cage. The Dingle home, usually a cacophony of boisterous life, is eerily quiet. Moira sits alone at the kitchen table, a half-eaten plate of food growing cold in front of her. Isaac, still recovering from the bug, is asleep upstairs, looked after by Maddie, who despite his own illness, has stepped up with admirable maturity. But it's the empty chair opposite her that casts the longest shadow. Kane's absence is a gaping wound, his voicemail a cruel reminder of his distance. "Kane," she murmurs to her reflection in the darkened window, her voice laced with a mixture of anger, hurt, and desperate longing. "It's me, your wife, calling you for the umpteenth time. We need you home. What you're doing isn't more important than your family here right now." Her frustration is palpable, a raw, exposed nerve. She clutches her phone, a lifeline that offers only silence. The police call, the one that informed her of Kane's arrest in Dover, plays on a loop in her mind, a horrifying echo. Dover, so far away. What had he done? Why was he there? The questions gnaw at her, leaving her feeling utterly isolated and helpless. She gazes out the window at the rolling hills of Emmerdale, a landscape that usually brings her comfort, but today feels vast and uncaring. The setting sun paints the sky in fiery hues, a beautiful yet ominous backdrop to her spiraling despair. The image of the empty chair and Moira's desolate figure perfectly encapsulates the profound sense of abandonment that has settled over her. Later that evening, Maddie finds Moira still at the table, staring blankly. He approaches cautiously, a mug of steaming hot chocolate in his hand. "Mum, you okay?" he asks, his voice soft with concern. Moira forces a weak smile, but her eyes betray her. "Just thinking about your dad." Maddie nods, understanding the unspoken weight of her words. "He'll be back," he says, trying to reassure her, though he himself harbors doubts. "He always comes back." But Moira shakes her head, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. "This time feels different, Maddie. Different and darker." She recounts the brief, cryptic police call, the sheer distance, the lack of explanation, the fear that Kane might be truly lost to them, not just physically but emotionally, gnaws at her. The bug she and Isaac had seems trivial compared to the sickness of her soul. She imagines him alone in a police cell, the dark walls closing in, and a cold dread settles over her. The hope she held on to, however tenuously, for his return, feels like it's rapidly dwindling, replaced by a growing abyss of uncertainty. The scene shifts dramatically to a heated confrontation at Wishingwell Cottage. The tension already simmering from the previous day's events boils over as Dawn and Nicola clash in a furious exchange that rips through the flimsy fabric of village civility. Dawn, her eyes blazing with a protective fury, confronts Nicola, whose self-righteous anger threatens to consume her. "Nicola!" Dawn seethes, her voice trembling with barely contained rage. "What have you done? You've pushed them too hard. They wouldn't even be thinking of charging Carl if you hadn't gone running to the police." Nicola, hands on hips, scoffs. "I beg your pardon? My daughter's pictures were spread all over the school. What did you expect me to do? Just let it slide?" Her voice rises to a shrill pitch, echoing through the cottage. Jimmy, standing awkwardly between them, tries to mediate, but his efforts are futile. The argument is no longer just about Carl and Clemmy. It's about a deeper, festering resentment, a clash of maternal instincts gone awry. Dawn's protective instincts for Carl, her belief in his innocence, clash violently with Nicola's fierce determination to seek justice for Clemmy. "You know what?" Nicola snarls, her face contorted with fury. "We both know the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? What chance did that poor kid ever have, eh? With a real mum like she had, and the likes of you picking up the slack." Her words are a venomous dart, aimed directly at Dawn's past, at the perceived failings of Clemmy's biological mother. Dawn recoils as if struck, her face paling. The insult cuts deep, touching on old wounds, on the painful memories of Clemmie's troubled upbringing. "How dare you?" Dawn spits, her voice a low, dangerous growl. "At least my kids don't spend more time in the local police station than they do at school." The barb hits home, a direct hit at Carl's own brushes with the law. The argument escalates into a full-blown shouting match, accusations flying like poisoned arrows. Dawn, driven to the edge by Nicola's cruel words, makes a chilling declaration. "I came round here to try and sort this out," she says, her voice trembling with a chilling resolve. "I was even going to speak to the police and ask them to drop it. But now, I hope they do charge Carl. I hope he gets what's coming to him. It might send a message out to all the other little creeps out there." The cottage door slams shut with a reverberating bang, leaving Nicola and Jimmy in stunned silence, the echoes of Dawn's fury hanging heavy in the air. The animosity between the two mothers has reached a dangerous boiling point, promising further conflict in a deeply fractured community. The camera lingers on the slam door, a symbol of the irreparable damage done, the division that will now ripple through Emmerdale. Back at Laurel's, the fear that has gripped Carl deepens, morphing into a full-blown psychological torment. The silver locket, now securely locked away by Laurel in a small forgotten drawer, still exerts a sinister influence. Carl refuses to leave his room, convinced that unseen eyes are watching him, that whispers are slithering through the walls. He speaks in frantic, disjointed sentences about shadows that dance when there's no light, and voices that promise terrible things. Laurel, desperate to understand, tries to reason with him, to bring him back to reality. "Carl, darling, it's just the stress," she says, her voice gentle but laced with her own growing terror. "The police, the trouble with Clemmie, it's a lot for anyone." But even as she speaks, she feels a prickle on the back of her neck, a strange sensation of being observed. The air in the house feels cold, even with the heating on full blast. Late that night, as Laurel finally drifts into a restless sleep, a chilling sequence unfolds. The camera slowly pans across Carl's room, bathed in the pale moonlight filtering through the window. Suddenly, the drawer where Laurel hid the locket slowly, almost imperceptibly, begins to slide open. A thin tendril of green mist, identical to the one seen earlier, snakes out, writhing and twisting like a living entity. It glides across the floor, up the wall, and through the crack under Carl's bedroom door. Inside Carl's room, he's thrashing in his sleep, mumbling incoherently. The green mist swirls around his head, condensing, solidifying into a faint, ethereal silhouette. A tall, gaunt figure with elongated limbs and eyes that glow with an infernal light. It leans over Carl, its unseen hand reaching out, and Carl's eyes snap open, wide with unspeakable terror. A silent scream tears through his throat, but no sound escapes. The figure whispers something to him, something that makes his eyes grow even wider with horror. And then, as quickly as it appeared, it dissipates, leaving behind only the lingering scent of ozone and something akin to burnt metal. Carl sits bolt upright, gasping for air, his body soaked in a cold sweat. He clutches his head, his mind reeling from the vivid, terrifying hallucination. Or was it? He glances at his bedside table, then back at the door, his eyes darting wildly. The locket, even from its hiding place, seems to exert a powerful, malevolent pull. This is no longer just a boy who made a mistake. This is a boy haunted by something ancient and sinister, something that has chosen him for its nefarious purposes. The next morning, the locket is gone from the drawer. Laurel discovers its absence with a gasp that echoes through the quiet house. Panic flares in her chest. She rushes to Carl's room, but he's gone. His bed is neatly made. A pristine note left on his pillow in childlike handwriting. "I had to go. They called me." Laurel's blood runs cold. They? Who were they? The police or something else? The green mist, the whispers, Carl's terrified ramblings. It all coalesces into a terrifying mosaic. She remembers Carl's distraught words about the locket showing him horrible things. Her mind races back to old village legends, whispered tales of a malevolent spirit, a trickster demon known as the Whispering Shadow, said to prey on the guilt and fear of the young, luring them into dark packs. Could the locket be an ancient artifact of this very entity? Desperate, Laurel calls Jimmy. He arrives, his face a mask of weary concern. "He's gone, Jimmy," Laurel chokes out, tears streaming down her face. "The locket, it's gone too. And he left a note." She shows him the cryptic message. Jimmy, usually grounded in logic, feels a shiver of unease. "They called me," he repeats, his voice thoughtful. "Who are they?" Laurel, her voice trembling, finally articulates her growing dread. I think it might be more than just the police. I think something else took him. Something not human." She recounts Carl's strange behavior. The locket's eerie glow, the chilling green mist. Jimmy, initially skeptical, sees the genuine terror in her eyes, and a seed of doubt begins to sprout in his own mind. The rational explanations for Carl's disappearance begin to crumble in the face of Laurel's profound conviction.